Hello, I'm David Harper with the BBC News. The heads of Brazil's Army, Navy and Air Force have resigned as President Jair Bolsonaro struggles to contain a crisis over his leadership. Mr Bolsonaro was forced to reshuffle his cabinet on Monday, replacing the defence and foreign ministers. Here's our correspondent, Will Grant.
The three men, General Edson Leal Pujol, Admiral Ilques Barbosa and Lieutenant Brigadier Antonio Carlos Bermudez, are furious over the way in which the previous defence minister was forced out. In what was believed to have been a fiery and hostile first meeting with his replacement, a Bolsonaro loyalist called General Braga Neto, the military chiefs tendered their resignations. It all amounts to the biggest political crisis President Bolsonaro has experienced since coming to office. Combined with his mismanagement of the coronavirus pandemic, the pressure on the right-wing leader has ramped up significantly in recent weeks.
The German Chancellor Angela Merkel has agreed to suspend the use of the AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine for the under-60s after the country's vaccine committee said it had received reports of 31 cases of a rare type of blood clot among more than 2.7 million people who'd received the jab. Jenny Hill is in Berlin.
Angela Merkel said the decision was about trust. It would, she said, be wrong to sweep the very rare but very serious cases under the carpet. Even so, the development presents a problem for the Chancellor, who's under pressure to speed up a sluggish vaccination programme as case numbers rise. Mrs Merkel acknowledged there would now be public concern around the vaccine, a development which may worry other governments. The World Health Organization says that the vaccine is safe, and the European Medicines Agency, which is still investigating the cases, has insisted that the benefits of the vaccine far outweigh the very low risks.
14 countries, including the United States, have reacted with concern to a report by the World Health Organization on the origins of the coronavirus in China. They say the report took too long to publish and lacked access to important data. The White House urged the WHO to take additional steps. A judge in New York has sentenced the brother of the Honduran president, Juan Orlando Hernandez, to life in prison for trafficking drugs and possessing machine guns. Our correspondent Neda Tawfiq has this report.
For more than a decade, Tony Hernandez trafficked more than 185 tons of cocaine into the United States by plane, boat, and submarine. Some of the illegal drugs were apparently labeled with his initials. U.S. attorneys said the former congressman used the proceeds in part to influence 3 presidential elections. His brother, Juan Orlando Hernandez, established himself as a champion in the fight against drugs, but prosecutors labeled him as a co-conspirator who took millions of dollars in bribes from drug lords, including El Chapo. He has not been formally charged in the United States.
Neda Tawfiq reporting. This is the latest world news from the BBC. The United States has ordered the departure of non-essential diplomatic staff from Myanmar as the military authorities there continue to suppress protests against last month's coup. The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has again condemned the use of violence by the Burmese military. The American Vice President Kamala Harris has held talks with the President of Guatemala on the surge of Central American migrants heading to the United States. The White House said that in their phone conversation, Ms. Harris and President Alejandro Yamatei agreed to address the root causes of migration, including poverty and crime. An annual report by the World Economic Forum says the coronavirus pandemic has put back the effort to close the gender gap by decades. The study, tracking worldwide disparities in education, health, economic opportunity and politics, say it will now take 130 years for the gulf to close. Women have been more likely than men to lose their jobs during the pandemic and face added care responsibilities. New research suggests that a small minority of frequent flyers are responsible for much of the emissions that come from aviation. According to analysis by a climate change campaign group called Possible, 12% of passengers in the United States account for 2/3 of all flights. With more details, here's our environment analyst, Roger Harrabin.
The report says there's a pattern of inequality round the world, with rich people dominating flights and poor people suffering from climate change. It traced huge disparities. In China, the authors say 5% of people take 40% of flights. In Indonesia, 3% of people take 56% of flights. In India, just 1% of people are responsible for 45% of air travel. The campaign group wants an escalating aviation tax. The more you fly, the more you pay. Other environmentalists want a total ban on air miles, which reward frequent flyers with free flights.
BBC News.
World Sport from the BBC with me, Paul Serra.